What's poppin', everyone? It's Pop here, and today I just wanted to talk to you about a recent trend in gaming that I've found very troubling, and it's basically this idea of always online gaming. And particularly in games that don't really need to be online. For a lot of these games, you can think of it kind of like if you had to connect to a server to play something like Mario Party, which maybe they'll do in the future, who knows. Something that just like, it's a party game, you know, with split screen and everything, and you just shouldn't need to connect to a server to play. And it causes a lot of issues when they force you to connect to servers, especially if they're not well done servers, in order to play video games. So yeah, I have a couple case studies here that I wanted to talk about games that have had issues in the past, because of this always online gaming problem.
You are watching.
Yeah, so one that I was really excited for, I actually made a video on it, was Party Animals. And yeah, I'll just show you. I think it has mixed reviews on Steam right now. And a big reason for that is simply because they launched it as an always online game, and they had some marketing issue where they had said that it was going to be, you were going to be able to play offline and online, but I think that was a translation issue. But anyway, thing is, this is kind of just like a party game where you just beat each other up, you know, kind of like Gang Beasts, if you know what that is. And yeah, so as you can see, the problem is they make you connect to a server when you log on to play. So for example, on launch day, the servers just weren't set up well, and I think there were way too many people trying to connect, and it made it so I couldn't get in, my wife couldn't get in. We wanted to play, you know, buying games on launch day in, you know, 2023 probably just isn't a good idea, let's be honest. But like, we were excited, so, you know, I've got a bad impulse buying problem, and I wanted to play, so I bought it, you know. And yeah, so we just couldn't play, which kind of sucked, you know. It's okay now, we can play, and we love the game. It's a fun game. It has its own issues, but the game overall is fun. And yeah, it just doesn't need to be an always online experience. My wife and I would have loved to play. We have a Steam Deck. It would have been super fun to play just on our big flat screen TV, you know, just like 2 controllers, split screen. We can still do that, but we have to connect to servers, you know? So like, I don't know, we'd rather just play offline. And so yeah, this is one example, and it kind of just gives you an idea of this problem. And yeah, I wanted to go into another example that just launched, Payday 3. This game I was super excited for as well. Had the same issue on launch. I think it's still actually having this issue, where you literally just can't connect to the game. You have to match make to make a custom lobby. So for example, I wanted to play it with just my wife, so we tried to make a lobby, and it wouldn't let us for the longest time. It was impossible to get in on like the first couple days. And not to say I wasn't really expecting it, it's just kind of disappointing, you know? The game's fun. I think it's a good successor to Payday 2. This review isn't about the server issues. See, like, everybody's talking about the server issues, even this guy, I guess he doesn't want to. He's talking about other stuff. Online only was a huge mistake. See, it's just like, and I feel like you're just killing your game on release. I think a lot of things is, it's nice to be able to have an always online game, because you can control it a little better, monetize it a bit better, I guess. I think the trade-off isn't really worth it. I think a lot of gamers are kind of just sick of this always online sort of a trend, and it kills your reviews. Like, look, mostly negative. I mean, it still has a ton of, oops, I clicked it. It still has like a ton of players, but like, yeah, it just kills your reviews, and it just kills the marketing for this game. I mean, if someone didn't know what Payday 3 was and they clicked it, you know, coming from Payday 2 or something, they're going to see the mostly negative reviews, see all the drama about always online and not being able to play, and it's like, you know, the game's fun. Is it a massively polished game? Not really. I don't think so, at least. People are going to have their own opinion. Some people are going to think it's great. I don't think it's like the best game in the world, but it is fun. Like, you just go and rob banks, you know. There aren't like a lot of, and rob different stores and convoys and stuff. There were only 8 heists in it, which was kind of lame, but anyway, that's besides the point. But it was just kind of sad, because I don't know, my wife and I enjoyed this game. We enjoyed just like, you know, going in, stealing money, and you know, whatever. It's like a bank heist simulator. You don't really get to do that anywhere else. It's kind of like playing a movie. So I think the game's fun. It's just, it's a shame that we couldn't just play offline. Also, it makes you play with bots when you make a custom lobby, which I think is another thing that's really lame. If I just want to go on a 2-man heist with my wife, I should be able to do that. I don't want to have random bots walking around helping us out if we don't want that. It's kind of lame. But anyway, that's another problem entirely. And the other one that I threw in here was one that I was semi-interested in. I didn't end up getting this game, and I don't think I'm going to. It was some sort of MMO-based game. I watched a couple streams on it. Looks kind of cool. I don't really know much about it, but it ran into the same server issues. I remember watching a stream of it to try and get a good idea of... It was like launch day, and I was trying to watch a stream of it to get a good idea of how the game like functioned. It had the same issues. Lots of server issues. I wonder if anyone will mention them in... I don't know. It's I guess a lot of people are saying that it's not super done, and I mean it's not super well done because it's early access and things, which I mean if you're buying an early access game, I mean what do you expect, you know? But yeah, it's it ran into the same issues, needless to say, where it was basically always online. You couldn't get into the servers, and that's 3 games in the span of like a couple months that have just been plagued by this always online feature. And I think it's a shame. I feel like all these games should offer offline support. If I want to play a game just on my own, I should be able to just launch it up, play through the full thing. You know, if Party Animals servers go down for whatever reason, I'm not going to be able to access that game anymore. It feels more like you're renting a game. Kind of like when I went to Blockbuster and I had kind of like a time limit on, oh, I'm gonna have to return this in 3 months or 3 weeks, 3 months. I guess if you rent it for a while, you can do that, but yeah, now it's like you just return it basically whenever their servers go offline, you know? We don't really own our games anymore, which, you know, I think it's worth the convenience a lot of the time. I mean, I still buy these games. I think it's worth the convenience, like to use Steam to buy games, even though you don't technically own your games. But I just think this always online feature is just unfortunate. And another thing that kind of hurts is game preservation. So, for example, something like the Xbox Game Pass, which is a subscription model where you can pay a small, like $5 a month, I think it is, or $10 a month or whatever, fee to access just a ton of different games, right? And the issue is you can't really get those games anywhere else. There are plenty of examples, I didn't pull any up, of games that are only on the Xbox Game Pass that you just can't get anywhere else. And it's just unfortunate because then, like, you can't really own those games. You can't mod them. You have to use maybe an emulator to play them. And yeah, I think it's sad that this is kind of the trend. And I've been seeing another sad thing, just because I was curious about what people were saying about these games, and I was kind of trying to keep up with the server stability to see when I'd be able to play. And a lot of people, like, they'll die to support or hate on games. For example, there were a ton of people in the Party Animals chats were like, you guys are all idiots, you know, this will get fixed eventually. Same thing with Payday, same thing with Wayfinder. Like, everyone who thinks that this launch was botched is an idiot. When it's like, what's even the point of doing that? Like, it's okay to, you know, as a community come together and be like, yeah, this launch wasn't handled correctly. It's not, I think most people, at least most reasonable people aren't hating the devs, you know, personally, you know? It's just the way launches are handled these days. It's hard to kind of sit here and watch, you know, gamers not be able to play day of. I remember when, you know, the new Call of Duty release, I'd go at midnight with my dad, and when I was like, you know, like 15, 16 or whatever, you know, maybe a little younger than that, and I can't remember the exact release dates, and just go and get it, and then we'd play like night of, you know, split screen online, you know. It'd say like, I think his title was Chicken Chaser from Fable, and it'd be like Chicken Chaser 1, Chicken Chaser 2. I remember when it used to do that when you had 2 on the same system, and yeah, you'd play, you know. You can't do that anymore. You need like 4 copies of Call of Duty to play. Or, you know, I have to buy multiple copies of Payday if we want to play together. And it's just unfortunate, you know? The games are getting more expensive. The actual quality and utility of the games has gone down because you can't play things like split screen anymore. And it's just a little bit sad. Like, for example, Payday 2 has offline support and people love it. Like, look at this. Very positive. I mean, it probably has its own problems. I'm not very well versed with Payday 2. I've only played 24 hours. I think I did 1 heist in that game. I was excited for Payday 3 because I was like, oh, I'll get into the series, you know, it looks fun. And it is a fun game. It's just we couldn't even play for a while, and the servers are still having stability issues, like, and I just think that's a shame. Diablo 4 is another launch that had kind of similar issues. I just wanted to talk about that because I just think it's a shame that gaming seems to be going down this path of subscription model, always online gaming. I wouldn't be surprised if soon I'm having to pay for a game like Party Animals. I'm having to pay like $10 a month to access the game, and as soon as I can't make the payment, it's removed from my account. That kind of feels like what some companies are already doing. I mean, of course, you have things like WoW that do that, but I don't think that's a big deal. I guess it would just depend. I guess it's a case by case thing, but I just think I could just see companies being very scummy about it, And anyway, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. I'm not the most knowledgeable about this thing, and I'm not necessarily hating anyone who likes always online things. There are benefits to it. I just think it's a shame that we can watch launches, like just screw people over, like screw other gamers over. You can't even play your game. If you're like a Payday 3 fan, like, come on, you can't be excited about sitting there, like having it say can't connect to servers all day while you're trying to play, day of. It sucks. And I think we just shouldn't accept that. And I'm glad to see there are mostly negative reviews, but the problem is a lot of people, myself included, I guess, just buy it anyway. I guess the reason is they just want to play. I guess a lot of people just don't care, myself included. I just don't really care. I don't care if I have to wait just a bit to play. But it's just a shame because it's hard to impact these devs. I don't know. Seems like everybody's being lazy. Matchmaking crash happens 15 hours later, still crashed. Overall experience 2023. Yeah, this guy's saying he played 1 to 2 math with his friends and the matchmaking crashed, and then overall experience, it's just he's saying oh, that's how it always goes, Another one that had that problem actually was Overwatch, right? I think with the Overwatch 2 launch, I mean, Overwatch has a plethora of issues now, and they canceled their single player or their mission mode, but I think they also had kind of a similar server stability issue on launch. Just seems like they never have enough server space. And I guess the issue is you don't really want to pay for the server space that's not going to be consistently used after day one, but it just feels like launch day is such an important thing for optics for these games, right? It's such a good marketing opportunity, and if it goes poorly, it can just kill a game, just flat out just destroy any chance that a game had to do well. For example, Party Animals is still a big title, don't get me wrong, but I guess it's got a ton of reviews, but it's smaller than something, say, Payday 2, maybe Payday 3, and it just kills kind of the growth prospects for this game and leaves a bad taste in people's mouth about kind of the developer. I mean, I don't know if they've done anything else. They haven't. They've just done Party Animals, and it kind of leaves a bad taste. If they make something else and it's kind of an always online, let's say it's a always online multiplayer, Mario Party clone type game. I use the term clone loosely here because I just couldn't think of anything else. But it's just people aren't gonna trust that they're gonna handle the servers well the second time. And I feel like in the game development sphere, being a trusted developer is extraordinarily important. And anyway, yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about that. I kind of went on a rant, but that's kind of what I do in these videos. Thanks for watching. Gonna try and start posting again, but life's been busy. Just gonna post when I want, I guess. And I hope you found some of this interesting or learned something about always online. And don't go out of your way to hate people who are on the other side of the fence, We can do better. We can all be civil and friendly. All right, that's it. All right, see you guys.